by his side. Through agony storm, their oaths collide. Grandfather's hand, the pact is sealed. The Legion reborn, their fate revealed. Rise in the armor, rot in the soul. A Primarch remade, his heart grown cold. In terror shadow, their war drums beat. Pestilent warriors, no chance of retreat. Through breach and ruin, their banners fly. With death's embrace, they'll never die. The Lion's Gate, where hope was torn. Jaggedized blade meets the blade born. Bound by decay, they rise in his name. The death god transformed, never the same. Blade-born sons with torment they bled, shambling forth where angels fear to tread. Typhus herald, chaos born, Mortarian's wrath, the plague sworn. In the warp, their legacy thrives, eternal servants where corruption lies. Mortarians fall, Typhus ascends, the death god song, it never ends.
I've balls the cameras up, boys. We're live and they can hear us, but they can't see us. Give me 2 seconds.
Doesn't matter. If they can't see us, then it's not real.
That's true. So we're not actually here. Oh, there we are.
We're not actually here.
Unfortunately, I've restored us to working order. Dave, quick, pretend that we just came live.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the amazing Disgusting Resilient podcast with my amazing co-hosts, Mr. Aidan Smalley and Mr. Will Reed. How are you both?
Yeah, no, wow. Award-winning Warhammer player, mate. What can I say?
Yeah, sorry. Let me start again. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Disgusting Resilient podcast with my co-hosts, Aidan Smalley and the award-winning William Reed.
I'll give myself a small hand clap. There we go.
Was that better, Will?
Show him the medal, Will. Yeah, baby!
Yeah, you have to wear it for the rest of the stream.
I'm gonna have to caught the microphone, yeah. So I don't know. I'll let you guys recap your weekends first, and I'll recap why I'm a medal-winning death card.
Aiden, I mean, before we even get into that, how was everyone from getting back from Leeds? Is everyone okay?
Yeah, solid.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, got a whole nice time. You know, had a bit of a chill out as well.
Nice.
Although actually a bit of a disaster, Dave. So I will say this. I had my driving theory test on Monday, yesterday, and I lost my provisional at Leeds, so I couldn't do it. So I've now got to wait another 3 weeks. Natalie wanted to kill me, and I can kind of understand because I kind of wanted to do the same.
I bet she didn't. I bet you kind of were equally annoyed, basically.
Oh, mega! Like, so frustrated. So that's my oopsie poopsie moment. So don't feel too embarrassed over that, Will, because I somehow managed to cock that up. So yeah.
Not Champions of Contagion it up.
No, unfortunately not. No, I did a proper COCK up.
COCK.
Not a Champions up. Yeah, that was a bit. Someone's running around with my driving license, my Legoland driving license.
Maybe they went and took your theory test for you.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe Maybe I'll just get it sent in the mail. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. Wuzza, thank you for the membership for 1 month. He just put, just seeing the results. I'm not angry, just disappointed. Wow. Ouch. Owie, owie, owie. That's a bit brutal. So yeah, we are all back from Leeds. How are you, Dave? Did you get back all right? You got the longest drive out there, all of us.
Yeah, I had a 3-hour drive back, but it was fine. It gave me an excuse to stop and eat KFC, which I don't have KFC like near me really, so that was kind of a nice usage of that. But yeah, got back okay. Managed to, because my last game finished kind of close to 4ish, so obviously we managed to catch up just before, and then I basically just legged it to get back for a semi decent civilized time.
Nice. Yeah, we got off a bit early as well. You stayed for the ceremonial, obviously, Will, as you can see.
Obviously, yeah, as you can see.
He did.
I didn't want to stay for the ceremony. Everyone forced me because I think they suspected this was going to happen. I tried my very best to escape as quick as I could.
You did indeed. But yeah, so we are back from Leeds. We all took our Death Guard. So we've all took our different lists. Dave took his Death Lord's Chosen. Me and Will took our cocks out and went for a bit of Champions action. And yeah, I mean, overall, it was still a fun event. You know, we had lovely time meeting all the people who came over, and we had our little group of us, us three, Dylan and Craig and stuff, and then PJ came over, all that stuff. So we did see a lot of people. We saw some people from Vanguard Tactics as well. So it was still a fun weekend. Still enjoyed it. I managed to get 4-1. The 1 being a giant issue, which I'm going to save for a rant in a bit. But I'm okay with it. I'm all right. I genuinely think this was an event that would have round 4 have been anything else, I possibly could have pushed to 5-0 at this one, because it felt pretty good. But I learned a lot about the game, the state of the game, and the lists I've been making. And we had this discussion there, Dave, when we were on each other on a lunch. And
yeah, we did.
We think that again, we'll get into it in a bit after a quick roundup. So yeah, but I think the times are changing. I think you could say, guys, in terms of how to approach list construction and army builds at the moment. And we all had an experience with challenger cards as well. I think, did you, Will? Did you have an experience with challenger cards this weekend?
Lots of experiences this weekend. So many different experiences. And like I said, I'll do my bit when we cover. You guys just do your bit, and then I'll just hide in the corner.
Yeah. So just a great summary there. So I did a 3-2. One of my games was a 1-point loss because of challenger cards. The other one was just a loss in the game, which was just a great game. So yeah, it was would have been nice to have done the 4-1, but I was incredibly close to it. So I feel like it was kind of there.
Incredibly close.
My wins were really strong. So I feel like I know we laughed about it in the previous stream, but I played the same list that I did from a week after Codex came out. That's the only thing I've been playing. I took that. I had no list worries before the event, and it played really well. I'm actually really, really pleased with the way Death Lord's Chosen can play into different armies and can play this map pack. So yeah, it was nice. I was quite overall a fun event. Like I said, nice to meet people. Good to hang out with the Vanguard guys. A shout out to Dito and his mates who dropped me a note to say, "Oh, we're in this pub. If you fancy a couple of drinks." It was. I mean, I'm kidding you not. It was about 3 minutes walk from the hotel I happened to be staying in. So it was incredibly useful, and it was nice to meet you guys, and I'm glad you all had a good event too.
Excellent.
Yeah, big shout out to Zito. I had a quick chat with Zito at the end as well, and he also smashed it with, again, the list is so wacky that he runs it so well. Yeah, give me some. He's telling me some of the sneaky tricks he does, and yeah, he has a trick with Typhus and attaching him to Poxwalkers when he brings from D-side to use the Poxwalkers placement to then get Typhus a really short charge. And I was like, oh, I've never thought I'd do that, but just it's stuff like that. He's a mad scientist. That's how I think of him now. He's just cooking up craziness. But yeah, so do you want to do your bit, Aidan? Then,
where do we want to start? Do we want to talk about where do we start today?
Should we start about the event? Maybe overall, how do we find the Leeds event? What was it like with how? And then a quick bit on the new maps.
Yeah, go for it, guys.
Yeah. And then maybe we can do a flash through some results on games.
Yeah, sounds good. Do you want to kick us off then? Give us.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Certainly. So it was my first Leeds event. I think it was, as you know, as most of the UKTC events are these days, it was kind of well organised. It was actually nice and spacious at the tables. I enjoyed that. I found that it was easy to get around. It was, you know, there was space to kind of hang out afterwards and do things. Yeah, the new map packs being out, I think, and I'll say, I think bar one of them from a Death Guard perspective, I'll put it from that way, from a Death Guard perspective. I found them all well playable. I think it was, even with what I felt, I have fewer units compared to probably you guys, and less models to string around and things like that. I felt I was able to kind of manage the deployment zones, etc. Probably, I think we all probably struggled on Dawn of War, I would say, or had less fun on that particular map. But you know, the game isn't. Yeah, we'll get to that. But the game isn't. You know, the pack shouldn't be built for it all to be Death Guard friendly, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I really liked it. I quite enjoyed playing on kept keeping it fresh on the new maps, and the nice thing was it wasn't like, it was new for everybody. So it was, you know, from talking to all my opponents, everyone had different feedback on different setups to say whether they're enjoying them or not, or whether they like the setup. But I think actually everyone quite liked the big ruin moving into the middle. I think that everyone overall kind of enjoyed it, overall enjoyed it, and made the game a bit more different. And that ability to kind of, like you said, Aidan, I won't go into it right now, but I think where it indicates that the game potentially is going, certainly in the UK. You definitely got a feel by the end of 5 games that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I liked the maps par 4. They felt interesting. The line of sights on some of the only thing I thought was a little rough on all of the maps was like rapid ingressing coming in from strategic reserves, because the borders of the game at the moment are very open, like really really open. So there's massive line of sights, but it's like I can live with that to a degree. That like that's not as egregious as like. Again, I'll get to it round 4. I wasn't a fan of that at all, but I actually enjoyed the rest of them. There was some interesting moments, like some interesting options for infiltrate as well, and some interesting like trading. Like I stand here, you have to do something about it because next turn I can walk onto your objective. But if you're going to shoot me, it makes me able to shoot you. So I actually did quite like the majority of the maps. It was nice to play something a bit different. That big square in the middle does make it a lot more interesting. And some of the positions of the side ruins, it just means you're not getting... I felt like I wasn't getting 1 inch off the wall as much, if that makes sense. Like, that didn't happen as much as I usually would expect to, which was quite a nice relief. Sometimes you have an objective that's like, well, I can just never get there because I'm going to get 1 inch off the wall, whereas they're a bit more approachable now, which is nice. So, I mean, but yeah, overall, like, the event was great. Even the one game I had, it was nothing to do with my opponent. Like my opponent was lovely. Like, again, whenever I rant later, just be very clear... Theo, I think it was Theo, that was the name. Theo was lovely. There's nothing wrong with Theo, and he came with me to the judge afterwards to sort of give feedback on why it was not good. Right. And so it wasn't exactly a fun game, but it was not because of my opponent at all. He was lovely. There's nothing against him at all. So we'll just clarify that for later. But no, every opponent I had was great. Playing against Mark Roberts, who's in our Discord as well, and one of our members. Round 1, oh my god, that despoiler he was playing Champions of Contagion, but still, that despoiler now at 3, we already played the despoiler, like we've all played the Debacle despoiler, but
we like him.
Now at 325 points, that's or somewhat around there, that is, Jesus Christ, that thing hurts. It is, it's really good, so that was an interesting thing to tackle. I mean, what did we actually play against? Because I played against Death Guard with that night first, and then
we all had a mirror, right?
We all had a mirror, I think. Oh, did you not, Will?
I didn't have a mirror.
Yeah, okay. Nice. So I had that. I had then World Eaters. Then after World Eaters, I had Space Wolves, actually. Ego was an awesome opponent as well. All my opponents were lovely, but Ego, especially playing Space Wolves, he was good. He thought he was going to get to use the new codex for this event, and then found out he couldn't, so he had to change his list to an index one. I was like, oh, man, that's good. So he was, the entire event, he was just like, man, I just want it to be the next event now so I can play my new Space Wolves, which is really cool. And then I played against the Ultramarine Stormraven build that Josh Roberts was running. The list was literally called I am also a filthy meta chaser, which I respected him for that.
Yeah, I respected that.
He admitted it. You respect that. And then my final opponent was Michael Duff, actually, which was a lovely game. He was playing his Imperial Knights with 3 Atropos, a Lancer, Canis Rex, and a single Armiger. So we did get to put the anti-Knight tech to a test. We both had a night game, didn't we, Dave? Will, did you have a night game?
No, I think I had a very
were you at the same event?
Well, I was at the other half of the hall from you guys. So yeah, it was. It's an interesting one. So in terms of the terrain, I actually quite liked it, and also round 4, I don't mind. I'm surprised you haven't picked up on this, Aidan. Do you not realise that round 4 is pretty much just a copy paste from a previous edition's pack?
It
Like
sucks.
it's not, and the only thing they've done is just move that big ruin, I think, and put the cardboard bit on it. So I'm quite comfortable with it. Like it reminds me of old times. So I only won. Well, I won 1.5 games. I won and a drew. It was a classic will read draw, exactly as I talked about the last episode, where it would have been a talked out win to me, but instead of taking the win, because my opponent did still feel he had a win path, and it was the less likely of the options, but we'd be playing on the clock and start the clock after deployment, and with the ref sort of saying you both get zeros or put a score in, I offered the draw and he accepted, and yeah, I think it was the right outcome in that sense. But that meant, because the draw doesn't count as anything, it just goes on solid wins. I only got one solid win. Now, I'm going to do a whole poxwalk at Plague Queen on this. There's a number of, my list was not great, but then round 3, I made a huge error of just not screening some scouts. So I'd practiced deployments, like I said, and I had sort of quite sort of solid game plans going to everything. But round 3 is where I played Vortan, and I'd worked out all my threat ranges in 12 and 10 and worked out all my responsive firing. And I don't know why I didn't. I could have just screened it. I put Poxwalks in my home field, and I didn't need them on because he couldn't even score it.
Couldn't get
it. Just put 97 deployment zone. I'm not saying I would have won the game, but I basically, I'll put it this way. I think it was it the bottom or end of turn 3? I had to double check the score because I'd drew dog shit cards as well. I think it was 38-15. With I'd scored 5 whole points on turn 3. I'd scored 5 whole points. It was pretty bad. I won't go into that. I still think I had a win path, and then I sort of went some sort of plays, Death Shroud failing 6-inch charges, and it just ended there, and it was just a complete disaster, really.
Just snowballed off that bit. Yeah,
I mean, he's a good player, the guy. Apparently he's in like a meta where he's, I don't know. He was a great guy, like I say. Nothing to say. Like, I don't want to start sort of going down the route of, he was a good player and all this stuff. Like, I messed up in that one. He could have been the best player, the worst player in the world. My deployment error is where it went wrong. It was, and everything else went from there. But then the table next to me, because I was in a weird draw bracket, Ben from 6++ got beat by Andy QC. And because we're in the draw bracket, that meant I played Ben from 6++ in my next round. Great guy, great game, absolutely brilliant game. But probably a player his caliber, maybe he's a little bit more than you'd normally play in that bracket at that point. We had a great game. Only lost by 5 points. There's loads of points where I could have won it. It was absolutely great game. And then last game, like I say, I paired into Thousand Suns Goat Spam with my MSU Nothing Has More Than 4 OC list.
I can see where that might have been the struggle.
You can see why it might have been a bit hard. Like I say, I did nearly win it. It came down the wire. Magnus living in the turn where I had Assassinate, and then he went and took my home field. I've already recorded the pox up play. I did it when it was fresh. So rather than me have the sort of crying in the sort of corner sob story, I actually had a really great weekend still, despite the slow hand claps and, joking to how much for my coaching services off the various mates and people who were there. The probably good things at Leeds and Manchester is when you run events, everyone knows who you are, so everyone's got an opinion, and so, Yep. Thanks, guys. This goes out to you, especially you, Andy, and you can still fuck off.
Demonetized right there. Thanks.
Sorry. Oh, it's fine. I'm about to make it far worse. Don't worry. I'll pick very quickly just with the chat.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you do check the chat, then let me do my quick rundown, because my rundown's a lot easier than what you've got to say, Aidan, and then I'll give you the floor.
So we got Loki has been a member for 19 months. Thank you so much, mate. Wow. He says, keep up the material, boys, and then he follows it up with a lovely 5 gifted Disgustingly Resilient memberships. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate the support. Again, if you want to support the channel, you want to get access to our Discord, our giveaways, all stuff like that, consider becoming a member. And if you maybe just got gifted one there, go to our YouTube channel homepage. There'll be a button that says join if you're not a member, and if you are one, you've been gifted one. You can see a button that says see perks. Say thank you. The button says see perks. Click that, and you'll see the link to get yourself in the Discord. And also, thank you very much as well to Laser Chicken for sending one gifted membership as well. That would be awesome. So yeah, Mr. Dave, you also went to this event. Turns out, so you give us your recap of the event.
Yeah, turns out I was there as well. I had five very different games. I had Necrons, I had Star Shatter round one, which was nice and interesting. I played Daniel Millward, who had a really nicely painted army, and we kind of had a really good game of it. And I think I probably had no, I wouldn't say an advantage as such, but I think everyone that's been playing Death Guard has not been playing Death Lord's Chosen.
Yes.
And obviously I did fully inform everyone that I have like uppy downies, 6-man Terminator brick, etc. And you know that it does a lot of mortal wounds, but it can do a lot of mortal wounds. And I think in that game I gained on top of all my other damage probably about 27, 28 mortal wounds. To the army, and obviously I didn't have to deal with a big warrior brick, but actually the combination, and this goes for all the games, the combinations of 2 Mephitic Blight Haulers running around with 2 heavy Blight Launcher drones, and then once all the Dash Shroud get on the table with Mortarion pushing as well, does start to become quite a wall of death. So I had a 97-52 win in round one. Which was good, but we had a really fun game, really well played. Second game, I played against Ben Crosswaite with his Orc army, which was another beautifully painted army, all blue, really, really, really fun. He was playing Warhorde, and we had a few really funny moments where at one point, basically, I went first. I shuffled and was like, doing classic me with Death Lord's Chosen. Time to do 1 minute turn. Okay, over to you. He just basically went, all right, here's pretty much my entire army coming at you, and basically was up against walls and stuff. I then got bring it down in turn 2. So I carefully set up to kill all these vehicles, 2 battle wagons and a truck, and then realised afterwards that you only score 4 points for killing.
That got me as well. This event, I forgot that's been changed.
So I took time and set it all up and did it. But I had to kill them anyway, as Ben rightly pointed out. So that was fine. And then also when I went into them and then realised that they are actually T12. The wagons, which is like, okay, cool. Luckily, I've got some heavy hitting stuff. So I went in, smashed a load of his stuff up. I was like, okay, cool, this is the game we're playing. I threw all my Dash Shroud, Mortarion into his stuff. He then threw his stuff all back into me. Gaz took Morty down to a wound in that game. And so obviously I then got to use things like Morty's reactive move to go away. And then I threw 2 Chaos Spawn into Gaz with a heroic intervention. And of course, Gaz killed them. And then they exploded and killed Gaz because he was on 1 wound after fighting Morty.
Nice.
So that it was really funny. We had loads of really funny interactions going with that. Ended up with a good win for me again, 95-57 into round 2. So that was all going good. Round 3, I then played Jack Ferguson, who's in the chat. We had, I think it was playing Vermin Vectorum and Death Lord's Chosen. So I did my first 2 moves, my first 2 turns took less than 3 minutes. And I then let Jack kind of play stuff. And I just positioned and moved around a bit.
Just so you know, Dave,
Jack
Mr. Ben is also in the chat at the moment. Mr. Ben Crosswaite.
Oh, Ben, is he in? Sorry, I haven't scrolled down. Ben, thanks for the game, mate. Yeah. Oh, no, mate, it was great. We had so much fun. Like I said, I'd love to be paired into you again. That's really nice of you to say, mate. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was one of those games where we just got to and I had this with most of my opponents, where you just like have the talk at the beginning, and then you literally just are rolling dice, and it's like your opponent, you're just saying to each other, it's 5 at AB, or it's 2 saves, or this your save, and the game just flowed really, really nicely. It was really fun. So yeah, Ben, thanks for joining. Really nice to see you. So my game against Jack went right down to the bottom of 5. It was a 1-point loss, 78-77, which came down to a marked for death to kill Morty, and obviously VV Plague Marines with the full rerolls kill everything. So it was well done to him. And like I said, Jack didn't invent challenger cards, so it's not his fault. But challenger cards scored him 9 points in the game, and I didn't draw a single challenger card the entire event in all 5 games. And like I said, it's not Jack's fault, but I don't think challenger cards should be in the tournament game. And I would not have. I wouldn't have been happy if I'd kind of once again, Jax is not used. This is normal games. I wouldn't have wanted to have like ever taken 3 points at some point, which had pushed me into that kind of gap of victory. I think the game could run. I think the game could run at tournament level without it, like it used to.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say anything more on it. It is in the game. It is part of the event. It is part of the pack. So it is how it is. But regardless, super close. Went down to the wire. Death Guard versus Death Guard, and we had several people come over, including some of the judges, looking at the table and went, "Whose army is whose?" Because it was everything was just intermashed at the end. It was really funny. Round 4 had a great game versus Will and his Tau. He was playing auxiliary cadre, so loads of crew, some sky rays, 2 hammerheads. It was another really, really fun game. I basically kept him off the middle and just kept pushing him off the primary and scored. But I couldn't roll enough 4-ups in the end, and he just did enough shooting to get back the points and start and basically took over on the secondary game. We had a really funny bit at the end where he was like, I'm going to try and kill Morty now. He shot Morty with. And it was fine because it didn't distract from what was happening for the game at this point. But he shot 2 Sky Rays with full rerolls because Morty's fly, 2 Hammerheads, and the rest of his army, and I think took 6 wounds off of Morty. And then in my turn, Morty moved. Shadow Sun took 3 mortal wounds from Mortarion just moving, took some mortal wounds in the command phase. He then threw grenades at her to kill her, charged into a hammerhead, cut it in half, and then consolidated back onto the middle. It was like, we were laughing about how it's like, that's why we didn't do this earlier. That was a good win. So Will won that game by 79-63. We had a really good fun game there. And then my final game was against, and James, if you're in the chat or you watch this later, your army is the best painted, best based, most beautiful army I've ever seen anywhere in 4 and a bit years of playing tournaments. He was an Imperial Knights player. Everything was just.
Oh, I saw that army when I came to say bye to you.
Yeah. Like, did you see Canis with the giant sword with the chains around it? Yeah, it is unbelievable. So I had an Imperial Knights game last. This came down to a turn 2. Basically, I spread out along the bottom edge and the top edge. I had Poxwalkers infiltrated on the top. I pushed them out onto the middle, and then I basically pushed along the bottom flank. Basically, I pushed into his deployment zone. I rolled a 6 on an advance, which in turn 2 got me into contagion range with a guard or armsman unit that were pushed into the corner of his home ruin, which let me put Death Shroud along the bottom corner of 6 inches of the edge. So bear in mind, there's Canis, a Paladin, and a Crusader in there, and I was like, we're here for a quick time, not a long time. So I basically put 6 Death Shroud and Lord of Contagion in, Typhus and 3, and then basically charged the I guess it would have been the Paladin with the 6-man after throwing grenades at it and killed that. I charged Typhus into the unit on his home objective and killed that, and then tucked them in, and then basically he basically turned his army around and went back into his deployment zone. And then I basically went along the board edges and threw Mortarion into the middle, killed an Armiger in the middle. He did eventually kill all the Death Shroud. Typhus survived in his deployment zone fighting with a knight, and basically through 2 turns of mortal wounds from his ability and melee, eventually killed it, and survived on like 2 wounds. The Lord of Contagion got killed. His unit got killed. He got killed. He stood back up. Canis obviously stepped on him. And then Mortarion came into his deployment zone through the 9x3 inch piece, threw grenades, did mortal wounds on the move, then charged, killed Canis. Canis hit back on Fight on Death. He got 7 of the flat 9 strikes through, and Morty 4-upped all of them. Basically at that point, and so at that point it was like, and then I basically picked up all the other knights by putting the Mephitic Blight Haulers and the Heavy Blight Launcher drones into them. So the knights were tabled at turn 4, but I didn't know. I also didn't know that the little character is what is the character in Canis.
Yeah. You've got to kill the character.
Luckily, I had him completely penned into his the 6-inch square of his deployment zone, so he couldn't get away. But I had no idea. I was also worried that it could run off the table. So I was like, can that get him to safety? So. That was my final game. It was a really, really beautiful army. Jim was a really great player. That was 95-32 for me. It was all on the big gamble, and then just I basically went in for the just kind of went in for the kill with it.
So night kill tally was what?
Night kill tally was Canis, Paladin, Crusader, and then multiple Armigers. 6 Armigers, I think, 4, 5.
Nice.
So did get those, and that was my event. So I had a 3-2, really enjoyable. All my opponents were brilliant. Game went down to the wire on 3, and got to play 5 different lists, which was I always enjoy getting to do at an event.
Excellent. I'm glad you had fun with it. I'm glad you also managed to get that positive finish with the Death Lords Chosen as well. Shows people that you can do well with pretty much anything as well, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, it can. But yeah, which is good. And I think that's the important message from this one is if you've been thinking about trying it, do. What I will say is, as a final thing, if you're going to take Death Lords Chosen, for me, having now played it in 15 games or 13 games, Mortarion is an absolute must include. He makes it sing. The reactive move is just, and the mortal wounds on the end of his movement are super, super important.
Yeah, it's fair. Well,
let me get my seatbelt off while you're saying hello to chat before you start.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna. Sorry, but let's go quickly into my round.
I'm back in a minute. I've got to go save the missus from a spider.
No worries.
So once it's ridiculous.
I'll quickly just go through my 5. So round 1, I said was against Mark Roberts in a Death Guard mirror. So cock on cock. He had the big Knight Despoiler. He had also a lot more Death Shroud than me, and was scored a 3. And basically, I got first turn, which I really didn't want, and then I had a really bad advance on my first turn on my Plague Marine units, the 5-man bare bones.
Yeah.
So I actually ended up having to send out Lord of Poxes to go and kill 10 Poxwalkers. And I kind of just messed up, in a way I messed up, like, getting board control. And, like, turn 2, like, the Knight came out, shot all my Plague Marines, killed them all. And I was like, I looked at him and I was like, have I just lost this? And he was like, you might have. I was like, oh, shit. Because, like, I can look at a board and just be like, oh, this is not good. So I was like, I was like, okay, fuck it, we ball. So just sort of like tried to move block a bit, and then he like did his full center and just like smashed the shit out of a lot of things.
Wow.
Rapid ingress in a carnivore, and then I was like, okay, I've got to do something. So I just pushed everything up. I put the Plague Marines out. The Plague Marines popped the rerolls. They picked up a lot of contagion. They also picked up the Death Shroud in the middle spawn. They got final ingredient off and a lot of contagion as well. So we got final ingredient off. We tried to push back on the left flank a bit and just hold him to there. But the biggest thing was Carnivore, basically. Went on the flank, killed a bloat drone in melee with a Rhino that tagged it, and the Rhino then consolidated onto a point. And he was put in a position where, for the Despoiler to get shots onto my Plague Marines, it would have to come around the corner and shoot them, or stand where it was, and which meant that the Carnivore was then easily within charge range of it. So if he shoots the Carnivore, nothing can shoot the Plague Marines. Therefore, the Plague Marines can then go and fight his Death Shroud. Thankfully, dropped down and bounced off my Death Shroud, and my Death Shroud clapped him back, which was a bit of luck there. Yeah, bit of luck came around there. But then he drew a Challenger card, which allowed his fucking Knight to move after shooting. So he managed to walk it back, touch on a wall, shoot, and then go back behind the wall.
Amazing.
I was like, cool. Yeah, that's not bullshit at all.
Cool.
So my next turn, he took Cleanse fixed and Assassinate fixed. He shot a Plague Marine to death. The Bios Putrefier lived on his own. A heavy Blight Launch drone shot him, put 2 wounds on him, and I passed a double 5 up to make him live. So then he ran off behind a wall. But the Carnivore bombed a really long charge and managed to get into the Despoiler at the back, which then it's game over for the Despoiler because he didn't one-shot it in melee, but he can't do anything. He can't fall back and shoot. I mean, if you drew the Challenger card for that. But it was really, really close game, probably back and forth, and I managed to pip it by like 4 points. So it was like, but I'm telling you, one dice roll at any point in that game could have gone either player's way. It was crazy. Really good, really fun game. Then I went against World Eaters, and poor guy, like, I just put 2 Poxwalkers, like, infiltrated near his objectives so they could just walk onto it. We tried to hold them, and basically was like, I'm going to sit in -1 to hit contagion. And your spawn, because normally they'd use spawn to clear out like scouts and stuff early, but when spawn are hitting on 5s, they kill like 3 Poxwalkers, 4 Poxwalkers. And then I killed the spawn. So basically he charged into my spawn, my Poxwalkers, so 2 unit spawn charged into him, killed like 3 or 4 from each squad, my Poxwalkers stepped back, I shot the spawn to death, and I was like, cool, send something proper out to get my Poxwalkers now. And he ended up having to send out 2 squads of 8-bound to go and like kill just like the remnants of Poxwalker units, and then I shot them to death. And it was just like death by 1,000 cuts, and then the Shroud came in and got charged into his Forge Fiends. The Carnivore got into a Forge Fiend as well. Unfortunately, it passed 4 of the 5 5-pin vulnerables, but it still kept it busy, tagged it, so it can't move, it can't shoot if it wants to fall back. So it still did a good job. He should have killed it, realistically. And then I wanted to consolidate onto his home objective. But again, it happens. But the TLDR of the game is traded really well early on. Spawn died, 8-bound died for Poxwalkers, and then I still had my big Death Shroud,
You had just
big Plague
stuff,
Marine Brick. Yeah, just there's not much you could do at that point. Not a great matchup for them. Space Wolves player, again, sort of was a bit cagey. I got to play this little sort of trading game, which is the thing I want to talk about in a bit, where I don't think that's the meta anymore. But when my list was designed to do this, because that's the way I play Warhammer, the way I'm good at Warhammer. So that went really well. Managed to trade insane value, like just drove up a Rhino, dropped off 5 Marines on his point, made his fight first Blade Guard have to come out from behind the wall and charge 5 bare bones Plague Marines. I give a shit. Then you just shoot him to death. Like that's fine by me. Death Shroud then got in and wrecked his middle of his army, and from there on it was a bit. I wasn't getting pressured. He failed a 5-inch charge, which he couldn't reroll into a bloat drone. So then his Thunderwolf squad just stood in the open, and my bloat drone and my Plague Marines just shot them to death. So it's a bit unlucky there, but that was fairly solid. And then round 4 comes along. So I'm gonna pull up the main screen here. I'm gonna pull up the main screen. All right, hold on, guys. We're going to the main screen. So this is round 4. You guys can see on the screen here. Sorry, it's a bit all to the right here. This is round 4. It's Dawn of War. Okay? So we got Dawn of War. We got Dawn of War. There we go. Where's it? You see that? Yeah. So Dawn of War deployment. And as you can see, it's a little open. Just a little bit open. It's quite open in the middle here. I unfortunately got paired against a guy called Theo. And again, nothing against Theo. It wasn't against him. He was playing the Josh Roberts Storm Speeder build. So Stormraven, triple Storm Speeder, Ballistas, Calgar, Gilliman, all that, double oath stuff. So, this is linchpin, so you have to hold your home objective, yeah? You don't get any primary. So if you look at this, the home objective you can only hold safely in this corner on the top left, yeah? So, what happens if your opponent puts a plane here that can fly down this entire flank here, drop off
have you clicked on the window? I don't think your cursor is visible.
Is it? I have clicked on the window. I can try and draw on it, I guess. I don't know how. It won't let me show cursor. So on the left side, here, over on the left side, if your opponent deploys his plane there, and then flies it down, and then he's carrying a Ballistas and Stern Guard. Turns out he can land here, drop off his Ballistas, drop off his Stern Guard, and shoot everything in your deployment zone. And the only things I have to hide behind are either over here, which is nowhere near anything, so it's not doing anything to help me, or this one tiny ruin that I have to hide in. And I can't even hide inside it with too many things because the Stormraven is really tall and can see in. So, it turns out when your opponent gets first drop and then first turn, you're just kind of fucked. So, the Stormraven came flying down, shot my things in home objective, killed what it needed to with double oaths. Again, it's full rolls to hit and +1 to wound. A lot of damage coming in there. And kills that. I then was like, okay, I guess I've got to clap back now. So a hauler comes around, we shoot the multi-melter, we get 2 1s to hit. Fucking brilliant into that Stormraven. The heavy blight launcher drones, 2 of them which are alive, because I only have 2 on my list, both roll a 1 on the number of shots as well. Perfect. Again, hate them, unreliable, super unreliable. They put 3 damage on the Stormraven. And my big 10-man Plague Marine Brick drives up with a Rhino, hops out, and with the rerolls we managed to kill a single Storm Speeder and put 8 damage on the Stormraven. And we couldn't charge either because, again, I couldn't put the Rhino closer so they could charge because he'd have just shot the Rhino and killed all the Plague Marines. So, not good already. So then in his turn, he spends the entire turn basically killing the Blight... I charged the Blight Hauler into his Stormraven and his Ballistas to tie it up. It, with Oaths, with the rolls to hit, just shot itself out of combat because +1 to wound and Oaths. He's hitting on 4s, full rerolls, wounded on 2s, killed it. The plane... shot my Plague Marines with the other 2 Storm Speeders. 1 came in from Deep Strike. Again, all on this objective over here. I rapid ingressed my Carnivore back behind this ruin. So I was like, okay, Carnivore, come out, go kill the Stormraven next turn. At least on the right, by the way, Calgar and stuff are just in this building now. And there's literally nothing I can do about it. I'm just like, cool. That's there. Because if I go near him with just 6-inch reactive move away from me, then charge me back in my turn and kill me. So, So yeah, they kill all the plague marines. So I just have a rhino left, a single bloat drone that's like over on the right side, which you can now see the stormraven, and a carnivore. So I have 2 squads of Death Shroud in reserve. So I'm like, there's a hope. I don't win this game. The hope is one Death Shroud, the rhino, because it survived, drives right up into the middle of this big blob over here. I can then deep strike in 3 Death Shroud on the back, which can multi-charge both Storm Speeders. One of them is on 2 wounds. One of them is on 6 wounds from just like bits and bobs of damage that have happened. So I'm like, cool. Yeah. And the other one's going to go for Gilliman, who's taken a wound because the biologist putrefier exploded, which was really funny. So they were going to try and go and kill him. And then they were going to try and kill the 2 Storm Speeders, and the Carnivore comes around, kills the Stormraven, tags the Ballistus. I still lose because I've lost all board control in the middle and the right. So he just sits on 3, but I basically will guarantee hold this left one for the rest of the game. So I sit on home and I sit there, I get points, and I probably end up losing like 50 points.
Yep.
Fair enough plan. So then what happens is I fail the charge into Gilliman for the 6-inch charge. I CP roll it and fail it. Excellent. I make the 6-inch charge at the back into the double Storm Speeders. Excellent. And the Carnivore makes a charge into the Stormraven.
Okay.
The Lord of Contagion, and so 2 Death Shroud go into the 2 wound Storm Speeder, and the Lord of Contagion and the other guy go into the healthier Storm Speeder.
That sounds like a sensible split. Yeah.
Yep, more damage over there. I don't kill them.
Yikes.
Happens.
8 attacks to hit, 6 ones. Wounded on 3s, roll a 2. 6 up save, passes it. As soon as that happened, I went, yeah, this game's over. I was like, because now they live. Yeah, I was like, this is fucked. The Carnivore did one-shot the Stormraven, though, so good boy, Carnivore.
Good job.
But yeah, would that have connected? We kill both Storm Speeders, we kill the Stormraven, we have a Ballistus left here, and a Gilliman who's died and gets back up. He then charges Death Shroud, probably kills the squad, but my Lord gets back up and twats him back. Just with a grenade and charges him will kill him. Like I said, then I exist over here. I still lose the game, but I get like 50 points.
Sure.
But because this went so horrendously, Theo then just tables me, and I end up scoring a whopping 9 points. Which means that I lose 100 to 19, which effectively means my entire event is over, because you can't get a good placing in the end with a 9-point win. So the problem is here, and again, it's a perfect storm, because how many lists are running a flyer that can carry things and drop things off and move 20 inches and shoot?
Yeah.
Like, most tanks can't move 20 inches down this flank, so that means they can't get that angle into your home objective. I went against one of the 2 lists, because him and Josh Roberts, same list, that can do that. So it's a bit unfortunate. Not only that, when it came down, he got the first turn, he got the first drop, so again, he got that alpha strike that he wanted to do off. Again, he played it really well, nothing against his skill here. But then also when I came to clap back, like, it just fell apart, and then fell in the 6-inch charge. So it was a combination of real bad matchup on a really bad map for that matchup, combined with a bit of dead dice on my side, and Theo's dice don't matter because Oath's +1 to wound, he wounded everything on 2s and rerolling everything, so like, dice are not a concern on his side. So yeah, it was a bit of bad luck all around, but I didn't let it try to deter me too much. Theo came with me and did give some advice back to the judge as well, saying like, you need to like just tweak it a bit so that armies that can move that fast can't just do that turn 1, because it's a bit absurd knowing that I can't stand on my home objective safely turn 1. Like, it's not like a melee army that you can screen out. If like he just flew down, dropped the stuff, and shot into my home objective. Like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do against that. Like, pain. So yeah, it was definitely something. Again, I don't hold it against anyone, and it is what it is. But it's I'm sorry. How do Marines still have like a 45% win rate? Like, come on. Like, the army's cracked. The army's so double oath +1 to wound is mental.
It's just because everyone's not playing that, are they?
I suppose, but
yeah, because you got to remember it's Imperial Fists and Raven Guard are all.
I couldn't screen Don. How can I screen? I can't. He got first drop of scouts there. I can't stop him going there. There's nothing I can do. It was a terrible map combined with him getting first drop, him getting first turn. I couldn't stop him. Nothing matters. It was fine. It's fine. It's what it is. But like, there was genuinely nothing I could have done to stop him doing that shot. The only thing I could think of when I went back to it,
storm on that as well on that map. Like, there's not you couldn't quite do that on some of the others.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well is if I'd have kept the Carnivore on the board behind this ruin on the left here, he could have run out and twatted the Stormraven maybe turn 1. But again, like, I've never played against this list before. I didn't know how aggressive he was going to be. Like, when Craig played against Josh Roberts, he was a lot more passive with his play. So, again, combination, it happens. Like, you don't have the experience against the matchup. You don't know how it plays. I wasn't expecting him to full send it because a lot of people who's full sending to Death Guy just get killed. So next time I probably would put a Carnival then just to watch that. But again, then he could have easily, deployed the Stormraven on the right and then it comes down the other side. My Carnival's not doing anything for the rest of the game. Like, it swings and roundabouts. It's fine. It happens. But yeah, it's fine. We're going to put in some feedback to WTC, UKTC, sorry. And yeah, because there's nowhere else to deploy Don, because that giant ruin can be seen into by all of it, because he flies down, disembarks in, shoots into it. Like, you can't, right, the two guys that were here, if someone can get to that angle, can you hide? No, you have two ruins to hide behind in both corners, which are tiny. It's not a great map.
And also one of them's open as well, so like
yes, one of them is very open, because as soon as you touch it, you get shot. Like, it's fine, it is what it is. So lessons learned for next time, maybe we'll see how it goes. But he's a very good player. But that list on that terrain was just a bit rough. Any other matchup, I think, could have put a better fight. And again, if the dice would have just gone well, I still think I'd have got like a 50-point loss there, which should have been fine. Even if you played behind it, you can still see it done. You can still see. I promise you. We checked it with laser satellites. There was nowhere I could hide. Because of how his Stormraven works, how it overhangs as well, its base, its nose could see anything I had there. I deployed behind it and still got whapped. I didn't deploy on the square. I put Poxwalkers on the square, but he didn't even shoot them. He shot all the stuff that was behind it, because again, little line of sights just add up. Because you fly forward, drop the ballistas out 3, and then its last cannon sticking out the front can then see down. Like, you really can't hide. It's just nothing you can do. It's pretty crazy.
What's the ruling on the ballistas dropping down? Because I'm sure I've had this before at a different Stormraven. It's 3 inches from the base, not the hull, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Because because I remember playing against someone and they were doing it from the hull. I remember someone saying afterwards that that's not how it works at all, and you get like an extra best part of 6 inches move off it. But yeah, if he's doing it from the base, and that's completely fair.
Yeah. There was that map was an interesting one. I mean, I was playing Tau on it, but I got to make use of Morty's reactive move, so I was stringing Poxwalkers out over to the right across that mid ruin and actually going all the way across, so that basically as soon as he went anywhere near that right hand objective or put any other threat, and I was able to, because we talked about this before, but I was able to then just concertina the Poxwalkers back into that ruin ahead of the mid. But like, even so with that list though, like, there's nowhere to hide from kind of what that one was doing.
It's fine. It is what it is. Again, lesson learned for next time. Like, that's fine with me. I just
but that does lead into what you were saying, right? So I think if you, at the start of this event, if you'd looked at probably what I was taking in it, I would say, my three wins were 95, 97, 95, and 95, and my list is kill. Right, yes. My list is all about damage. It's set up, and everyone that follows the who's in the Deathlord's Chosen sub channel will know that, because when I've been asked about this extensively or how I go about doing it, this is, and most of my opponents will see that I played my first turn at least incredibly quickly. It was set up, stage, plan where everything is going to go, put stuff into contagion, and then come down and kill as much of my opponent's army as I can quickly, and worry about scoring later. I often forego secondaries in the first and second turn to just kind of make sure that I could just score the rest of the game, and basically strangle the primary by getting onto it and killing stuff near it, or being able to drop back on. And I would say, I think all our feeling is probably that the game is now falling into that kind of direction of damage and kill, right?
Yeah, I think, Will, you said you took like an MSU list. I think that's the big takeaway I've got from this weekend. I think, and you said it before we came on, we need to cut the cute stuff.
I mean, my list was flawed, but for different reasons. I'd played one practice game after I'd already submitted it because I made the change. So I didn't actually play it at all before submitting it. I copied my Duff's list from a Teams Talk went from a Virulent Vectorum list into Champions of Contagion because I wanted the damage. it needed the sticky and the strats. It just didn't copy over. Like it was a flawed idea that then as I say, I'm going to cover this in depth in the box paper. But the maps that you guys on 4, because I was playing at the Dark Eldar, we had a very different game. But he was able to outtrade me, was what it was. There was, for example, I'll put it this way: there was too many times when the spawn had to do damage to sort of like stay in the game, and because that was one of the assets. And there's so many times that I've spawned shit at doing damage. They're fantastic at spreading contagion. I think they're fantastic for that. But the third unit, there were so many times, and he just did it. He was just so sad. Like in that Dark Eldar game, there was 3 times where like units of spawn were in combat with is it Mandrake, Super Downy guys? 3 times they killed one. No, the first time they killed, I think, 1. Then they killed none, and then they killed 2, including the splashback mortals. It was just, oh my god. But one spawn did live on 1 wound, and he had no right to do, and he did get a Death Shroud charge onto his home objective, and that was, something that I was able to do. So, like I said, that one, my weekend was very different to yours, and I think from where I finished and what I had and the list that I took, I think, like I said, I need to take out loads of chaff, put in the 10 Plague Marine brick, go again, and I think that in itself is a big improvement and a big change, which is what I'm going to do. So like I say, I don't want to be salty because my games are amazing. I still had a great time, and that's the other side of Warhammer. I think like round 3 was where that was my equivalent of your round 4, where it just went, everything just kept going wrong.
Yeah.
But it all started from a deployment error that I was in complete control of. I don't want to go, I feel if I'd have made the Death Shroud 6-inch charge, because it wasn't. I wouldn't have had to be doing that because I had bottom of turn round 2. But like he cleared my expansion objective round 1 with bikes and anything I moved to get there. I just hadn't. I had a game plan and it collapsed in a heap because of a scout that I hadn't accounted for. So yeah, like I said, I don't have an awful lot. But moving on to what you think about the meta is then. You said you guys have made some observations from, your lists, your games. Where do you think, that lists are going? Because, like I say, the thing I noticed was, obviously Nathan wasn't it. I don't think there's any more Tyrion's Hammer went for one that I saw, but the list that I looked at all had the 10-man Plague Marine brick.
One went for him, one, yeah.
Oh, one did it?
Yeah. So very quickly as well, I just want to go back to chat. Notorious Noel, coming with the Deathlord Dave. Thank you for the 8 months of membership there, mate. Dazza says, were challenger cards in the tournament, were they impactful? People seem to think they warp the game. They definitely impact the game. I think the problem is they don't. They're supposed to be like for people who are getting smashed, so they still feel like they're getting some points. But the problem is like they're actually affecting the really close games where you don't need things like that to be interfering, because that's like where it's the most annoying. Like I really didn't need in that game where I'm trying to claw my way back in because he's took fixed. He's getting challenger cards, and now I've got a knight that can shoot and move after shooting. It's like he didn't need that. He's already in a very dominant position on the game. So I feel like they can be. The problem is at 6-point loss, only being 6 points down, they're too easy to game, especially for fixed objective players, because you could sit there, control it really easily. If it was like 15 points down, it's genuinely just you are getting smashed, here's a helping hand. But 6 point down doesn't feel like enough for me personally. I don't like them.
There is one small thing which I think they should implement. I think even events could maybe even FAQ this. If you're getting bottom of turn, you shouldn't be allowed a challenger card on turn 5 if you're the second turn player, because it's already annoying enough when, like the 2 losses I had, into the Dark Eldar and the one K, it was because bottom of turn scoring, because obviously bottom of turn scoring is massive, it always has been, it's not a new thing, but those games weren't really controlled on challenger cards. But when you throw a challenger card in that mix, when that person's already going to maybe score 15 points in the final turn when they're 10 points behind, and then they get an extra 3, that's I think where the game's got an issue. So I think bottom of turn going second, round 5, you shouldn't be allowed a challenger card because you've already got a big advantage. Yeah. You don't need a big advantage because it doesn't take into account like, oh yeah, you're behind now, but you're going to get
you're 15. About to jump up, 15 or so.
Yeah, like and that's the game. So that's one thing I would say on challenger cards. The other thing I would say, having played a few games, I haven't had as many practice games as I'd like as I keep mentioning, but the strats aren't as impactful as people think that they are. Like, they're very situational a lot of the times. Fair play, there is that like
I think that's
one
the
in
problem.
five,
I think that's what the problem is. They don't affect armies equally. Like a knight being able to like tow onto terrain, see through it, and then just tow back off it with a 1-inch reactive, like move after shooting, is not the same as like you said there, like just getting that army like just a generic like guard army that shoots. It's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah, but then the 3 points is basically like, did you bring an army?
Yeah, do you exist?
Did you? Yeah.
You're just doing what you were doing anyway.
Yeah.
And here's another 3 points.
Yeah.
They're a bit. It's too easy to score.
If they were at
them
least
for 3
all
points.
actions, I wouldn't mind, because at least you're having to give up a unit to do something. Like that, I wouldn't mind if they were all action based. But yeah, there's one that's just like, for every objective you control, like, okay, cool, so the things I'm standing on anyway, because I have to win the game, like, that's just completely free. But
I mean, the most ridiculous one is have one unit that's 18 inches away from all of the units in your opponent's army. So it's so easy to do.
I'm just gonna, sorry, Dave, can you after this finished discussion, can you just keep going from? Can you go from Andrew down and just do the announcements from the chat, and then we'll talk about what we've learned from the meta.
Sounds good.
Cheers, man.
Let's just
go on then, Dave. I don't have chat open actually. So
yeah, no worries. Did he say from? What did he say from Andrew?
Andrew down.
I just heard him. Good, Aiden, make sure you take that off if you're going to the bathroom.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you like that naked gun scene.
So I'm just going to go back up to Chris Bailey first, actually, as well. Chris said, $5 super chat, thank you very much. Post Codex, how are you finding your list construction being influenced by UKTC, WTC, GW terrain? Hopefully, as I replied to you, we're talking about that now. I think that we'll get into that in a second. Then we go through a whole load of Don giving Aiden grief, which is great. So, Strong Boy, as a regular, welcome. I just want to shout out, I don't know, Will, you wouldn't have seen, but Ben, my Orcs opponent, who I talked about in my bit, has become a Plague Marine.
Oh, wow.
So I just said to him, everyone's welcome. And, like I said, as I typed in there, actually, though we might be a Death Guard focused channel, if you want to know how to play Death Guard against them, this is also a really good place to be, just to hear what we're talking about.
We're open-minded. You might call us woke. If you want to identify as a Plague Marine, as an Orc, that's cool. I've just got like an imagination of an Orc.
Just this vision of an Orc wearing bits of mismatch armor. Which is really good. Strong Boy said, I think Challenger cards warp list building into pure damage, which is fine, ? But everyone needs to catch up. Death Guard is very good at this. Thanks for the super chat. I kind of get what you're saying on that one, but I also think that if you... Because I had this, at no point in the entire event did I get a Challenger card. So I was ahead the whole event, or neck and neck with my opponent. And I wouldn't, like I said, I think the game can work just fine without either secret missions or Challenger cards. I think it just then becomes a game of playing, especially now the secondaries have changed to work now, where you can score things like, is it a sabotage that completes now the end of your turn? Things like
sabotage it's recover assets. I still can't believe sabotage doesn't complete. It's like the hardest one to do, and you get 3 points. Should be 5 points at least.
So things like that are changing. Like, they've changed the secondaries around, so I don't think they need to change the secondaries around and put in Challenger cards where you can now score points quicker and then get more points. Like, I think the gap needs to, if their intention was to try not to have so many big gulfs in the scores, then if it was almost like then I think they just need to make the gap bigger between when you
for the tournament scene. I actually think it goes against the because like the WTC, that sort of like team scoring, that's the whole point. And I actually think Super Mages. So that's one thing I like about Glasshammer's Super Mages versus UKTC, because there are so many people there. There are so many people with very similar scores just through the nature of how many people there, and 5 points can be like 15 places in the final ranking, sometimes even more. So I think the differential scoring is quite good because it really does reward big wins. So actually that's one of the things I like about Glasshammer's Super Mages versus UKTC at scoring. But like Challenger cards are taking that away, because then it really does reward skill. Like if skill is a thing where 2 people play a really tight game and it wins 41-39, like that's really good.
Game,
Yeah. And also, if you are to blow your opponent out, or the other, I suppose a better example is like 100 points to 99. You know, like 100 points in that game, but like that shouldn't be rewarded the same as other ones because that was really close, and the person who came second in that game with the 99 points should actually score quite highly for that really close, obviously well fought game. So I think the challenger cards are working against that, and they're kind of like my award, they reward everyone just for turning up. And I don't think in a competitive world that's something that should be done. I'm not an advocate for everyone who goes to sports day gets a medal, even if you win don't win a race. I think you should only win an award if you win something. Hence why this is so flipping embarrassing. But yeah.
Well, the other thing is the other way they could do it if they want to keep them in is make them much harder to achieve to get 3 points.
Well, I even think you could maybe draw one each at the start of the game. You flip it over, you show your opponent, and it's like, say, right, it's like it triggers when you, at one point in the game, when you're 5 points behind, you can trigger any time, choose a point of the strat.
Actually,
Both the other one's got it, and you either do or don't do it. And do you know what I mean? I don't know.
How about if you had to spend a CP to draw one?
I guess
so. If you're behind, you can only draw it if you're behind. And you have to spend a CP to do it.
Possibly.
For 3 points. Because then it starts to become interesting. Because actually that does then really impact what you might need to do in the rest of the turn or the game. But regardless, my stance generally is, and this goes for like me being behind and having the opportunity to get them, is I don't think they should be in the game. I think it should come down to secondary, primary, in the tournament scene. That's where you play.
Yeah, I don't hate them, but I don't love them either. Like, I don't think they need to be there, but now they are there. I'm not up in arms about them, I guess is how I would put it. I do have one question though to Aiden, because then we can sort of talk about the list. Oh, is there more super chats to talk to, by the way?
I've done Strong Boys. I don't know if you caught this when you was out, but Ben, the Orc player I played, has become a Plague Marine.
Yay, thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
I just said to Willa that we got a few people in, like Chris, who also does this, but this is a great. Also, if you don't play Death Guard, but you want to know how it works, this is also a great place to be.
True. Dazza, $5 and we've all Chris Taylor.
Did you do Dazza?
Plague Marine, thank you very much. He's asked. We kind of answered it as we were on. He asked what challenger cards are impactful, which we've kind of just been talking about. To be fair, but thank you very much for the $5 donation.
And just for you two to loop back on is Chris Bailey's question, which is we're starting to get into it, but is how much are we finding that list construction is influenced by UKTC, WTC, GW terrain, like the new changes to it versus maybe the meta?
But very quickly, thank you to Meds and all that for the gifted memberships. Yeah, if you already done that, yeah.
I did thank him in chat, but no, thanks for.
Okay, thank you very much to Meds for the 10 gifted memberships. Hell yeah, dude! Thank you so much, appreciate it, mate. Chris Taylor as well for becoming a Plague Marine. You guys are all very lovely for supporting this silly little channel and our Death Guard antics. We appreciate you. So yeah, Ben as well. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate all the support you guys give us on this silly little Death Guard channel. So yeah, talking about the terrain influence, I do think the chapter approved, and especially the new UKTC terrain. I came out of this going, my list is too cute. I have these little 5-man Plague Marines. I have this like Lord of Poxes in a Plague Marine unit, and like a lot of the time I was just like, man, you know what would have been a lot better than that Rhino and those 10 Plague Marines and a lot of Poxes. Just like another squad of Death Shroud to just go and kill something, and just kill people. Like it turns out, just killing people. I wish I had Spawn as well. I really wish I had Spawn for spreading that contagion a bit easier. The Plague Marine Brick as well. Now, here's the ironic thing. The Plague Marine Brick is incredibly, like, lethal, but it is not... It's too expensive. Like, it's very good.
That's interesting.
It's very, very good, but I found out, like, even when I got really good charge stuff, this is the problem. Even when they came out and they killed, like, a Canis Rex, it still clicked to me, I've got to kill someone else. I've got to kill someone else before I get my points back, like, value up trade. Like, they're very good as a bit on the board that's like you can't come near, and I like Final Ingredient for that as well. But a lot of the time, like, I found what would be better is just having, like, cheaper units that are still super efficient. Like, a Demon Engine, you can see why Mortarion Hammer's doing super well. Like, 100-point, 90-point Demon Engines requires a fair bit to kill them because they got the invuln. You can't just pick up, like, you can... 10 Marines got, like, Leaf Blowered, like, pretty damn hard. a lot of the times. Like, they come out and kill a lot of stuff, and then they die. And
Well,
it's
I've
hard.
got a question then. I've got a question you in. So I had some of the MSU stuff that you're talking about. Now, I was obviously so far on the MSU side compared to you. I'm sure there's a sweet spot in the middle, and I actually thought the sweet spot in the middle for me was putting the 10 Plague Marines in. Now, I'll explain why I thought that, and then I'd like to hear your response, because I think your response could be really interesting here. The thing I felt the list lacked was a shooting unit that could dump out in one activation a big like splurge of damage.
Okay.
Like a big, there was nothing where I could walk up to say, I don't know, 10 Calgar and his retinue of 10 guys. They could just walk up with guns and in one activation go, poof, gone.
Yeah.
Which I thought the 10 Plague Marine brick was what the list could do with. Silent King, for example, even with all the rerolls, 3 Death Shroud and Honor Contagion do not pick him up. So if you're going to say splurge, obviously this is his CP for flipping days. You need 5 CP at least, to splurge to 10 Plague Marines into him and then put the Death Shroud in afterwards. That's what I felt the list lacked from my side. What do you think could do that job, or maybe replace the 10-man Plague Marines? Obviously there's a lot of people here with.
No, I agree. I think that's why I've seen a lot of Night Despoiler, because it can do the Plague Marine job of, here is a bucket of dice in shooting at something from 70 inches away, 36 inches away, and it doesn't have to expose itself to the degree. You can get weird angles as well because of how they interact with terrain. You can walk through walls, and again, it's still harder to kill than 10 Plague Marines. Like, it is more susceptible to getting like one tapped and tagged, but it's a lot more looming threat as well. The Plague Marine, like, I'll be honest with you, I'm more gonna cut the 2 5-man Plague Marines on the Rhino, the cute like box, rather than the actual 10-man.
Yeah.
But the 10-man did do work. Like, when it connected, it did do exactly what you said there, Will.
It did its job. Yeah.
It connected, did its job. But like, when I'm playing against Mark, his Knight was doing the same job my Plague Marines were doing, but from horrible angles that he could just keep me away from, miles away. And then again, like, I had to get within 12 to put my metal guns on something. Like, don't worry, when I did, it went pop. He was shooting like my bloat drones just to pieces from like across the board. It's like boom gone, just like. And then it's also still 10 OC for late games, still push out. It's so I can kind of see them doing the same role, but I understand what you mean. I don't dislike the 10-man Plague Marine squad. I just had to be very careful with it. But it's also quite televised, like where it's going to be and what it's going to do. It's a weird one.
In Champions of Contagion as well, specifically, I know you can't fight first if the Rhino's destroyed, which is sometimes when they'll be in combat, because they're not a trick that people do if they can get a land on it. Did the fight first come up very often?
I used it once versus World Eaters who fought on death, and we just mutually killed each other. But like, that's fine, because it means like I actually killed them and just like die for no reason. I didn't have to respect the Rhino. They came out, shot a Demon Prince to death, and then I was like, cool, if you charge me, I'll take you out as well. Now I've got my points back, and that's good for me. But so they are useful. They're still good. So
I've got 2 more questions related to this kind of same topic, and then obviously we can sort of widen it out a bit. Mm-hmm. If you're being a defiler, I've said the unit I'm going to say. If you're being a despoiler, do you not also drop a defiler in?
Nah.
Because they are like best friends. Like, in the sense, if you shoot a defiler, you strip the cover, and then you shoot a despoiler. Would that only work in more times when the defiler can move through a wall?
Again,
like, just as a one tech piece, because there's a pairing, I think there. Or is it so much damage from the battle cannon that you don't need to strip the cover?
I think that's the problem. I think a lot of times, like, things that shoots can usually kill anyway. Anything tougher, you kind of use Death Shroud to go and deal with. And so I don't think you need Defiler, because Defiler just takes points away from like playing up the field. Like, that's your one long range shooting kind of piece. That's the way I see it.
Because the Despoiler's not going to do damage to Terminators. That's the thing.
I'll
give you a prime example. At LGT last year, playing Chaos Space Marines, a unit of 10 Chaos Terminators lines up on the other side of a wall from Plague Marines. I shoot them. They are in contagion range, so they're -1 save, but they get cover. So it's only single AP, goes to 3. I shoot both battle cannons at them, and they lose 7 of them.
Like, you just
my thinking is more like Deathwing Knights, so it's -1, and if they're not in contagion, because if you're not in more times hammer, sometimes the putting the contingent isn't always as easy. I know you've got the spawn for that. It's just it's more just a sort of
the minus one doesn't make any difference.
Plague Marines don't have that problem. You see, that's what.
Yeah, the minus one doesn't make any difference either because damage 3 down to damage 2, the 4 wounds is still 2 to kill. Like that's fine. And there's a lot of times as well where like you can just get like, especially when they start brawling on the objectives, especially on the new UKTC ones, a lot of the objectives aren't. We don't really have ruins that have like bases on them like as much as the other ones do. So a lot of the fighting that is happening, I actually was shooting things that weren't getting cover because we were on the objectives, which was just stood in the open. So I don't think it's as big as an issue there. But I get what you're saying. I just think it's too many points in that package.
That's more. I'm not sort of. My next event's going to be a team one. I can't take knights because we've got chaos, so I think I'm going to put the 10 Plague Marines in regardless. But fine. I'm kind of thinking past that. My other question also at Champions of Contagion was, how did you find your CP economy? Because I ran the 2 tally men and I was quite happy with that. I found that there was very few occasions where one of them didn't tally, and I just know the detachment is so hungry, especially if you have the 10-man Plague Marine and the Death Shroud units. Did you ever find that you wanted more CP, or was it just a case of managing it, or because I noticed a lot of the other Champions of Contagion list only had 1 tallyman. I seem to be the only person who thinks 2 tallymen's like a good thing, and of course, with this pins out of maybe I'm not someone in my opinion isn't as valid as others.
Mark had 2 tallymen. It's fine. Like I just kind of like paced it. Like turn 1, I never spent a CP. I just made sure I never spent one, so I always went into turn 2 with 3 CP minimum. At the time I got 1 in 2 turns, and that puts it to like 5. Like I could do what I needed to do with that. Normally I'd like even try and I'd even consider like purposefully ditching a card like turn 1, even if I could get 2 points on it because the CP was more valuable. Plus I didn't want to give my opponent a challenger card for free on turn 2. So sometimes I do that. I just think you just got to be a bit more controlled with it. I didn't feel like. I mean, I kind of wish I had a Demon Prince just because I really like him, but not in Cock. Like VV's where he belongs.
Oh no, I think it's 2 tallymen or 1. I think the Demon Prince. You're right. He's too fragile, isn't he? In Champions of Contagion,
like, he's a VV.
It was more just if you are. It's more just if you're going to run the Death Shroud, because the Death Shroud. I was a non-believer until the practice games I had. Put the 3 CP 1 more combo on them, and they punt things into the sun. Like, even like, there's been a few times I've started conversations like, should I split here? And then like afterwards, I've been like, I probably could have even like quadrupled and killed everything.
Yeah, I went into Michael Duff's Archer post with 3 Death Shroud with a 3 CP combo and just picked it up from full. I was like, bye bye, go away now.
Oh, they just punch things, doesn't it? Like really I'm so impressed by it. That's the thing that
this is the thing I wanted to ask Dave actually, because from watching Dave's games,
don't take Death Shroud for no reason, guys.
What I'm saying is from the games I've watched Dave, you do basically this mass drop, clean into your opponent's face, kill as much as you can, and then just sort of exist and keep pushing into them. And I feel like that is a lot of the way like Warhammer is going at the moment, because like we saw even like Chris Radford and his like Blood Angels, so many jump pack units just have that big turn where it's like, bah, here it all goes, smash into you. And I think the idea is basically to deal as much damage in 1 turn as possible. Your opponent just can't recover from it, and they're basically fighting for scraps. And this trading game, this long-term like the trading meta of Pariah Nexus, where it was lots of, because like final ingredient, like I got it off like twice, but every single time it was because I wanted to kill a brick or a knight. Like there's no one else in the game was running 5 mans of a character anymore. Like that used to be everywhere. It used to be like 5 assault knights and a captain in an impulsor that runs onto your objective, kills what's on it, trades, dies. That's not the way it's kind of working at the moment in the game. Like a lot of people are just going for these big power push turns where it's like, here is my army, bang, I've just like collapsed like 600 points of your stuff, and now you've got to deal with all this stuff in your face while my little back units like Poxwalkers and Spawn are still now just stood on objectives. I don't know, what was your experience with that, Dave?
So I don't want to do, I'm not saying that what your description was is overly simplified, because that is basically the core of what you do, but you're right. What you've got to do is basically you need to look at what your opponents. You've got to have a really clear plan of how you're going to do this. Because to do it with DLC, you've got to get and anyone running Death Shroud, you have to get stuff in contagion, and you have to get multiple units in contagion simultaneously. You can't just go one there, and one over there, because as Will's talked about previously, you can just have then units floating in between, which can prevent you from doing this. So you need to make sure that you're going to do it, and also, like I said, suddenly, and be prepared to advance and lose stuff. So my 2 units of Chaos Spawn are always there to get the 8-inch move and then roll an advance, and I'm always ready to CP reroll one of those advances if it's not far, to try and just push that contagion range far out as possible, or to drop a Death Shroud unit in and then pop and extend contagion range to basically then push it into another unit, which then lets me get another one down. But the plan is you then have to follow it with Morty. You then also have to get ready to kind of push your drones or your demon engines along the flanks usually. So you're basically usually sat with a Tallyman and a heavy blight launcher drone or something, turn 2 to ready, especially if you go first. Something that can move to basically just jank the spread between your units to make sure you're screened. You've usually got some poxwalkers that have infiltrated right in behind a ruin somewhere else, and you've probably got your other first unit of poxwalkers have been out in the middle, fishing lure, ready to jump back behind the wall, and then they're coming out as well, and they're advancing too to push up to your opponent's central. And then you drop like I said, you drop the Death Shroud in, and you've got to be clear which target they're going after as well. Like, so whether that happens turn 2 or turn 3, I often do it on 2 to make sure I've got maximum time after that to score, is what I'll tend to kind of go for with it. And I'll tend to use things like infiltrating poxwalkers on the middle or further out to start to pull my opponent's army out towards me, so that it's easier for me to do it. That's kind of, once you do that and then you get in with it, you also have to have a CP reroll for a charge, because they can go wrong. I've been pretty lucky with it so far, but and like I said, when you're playing this, the list I was, Morty's got to be in the fight turn 3. A bit like old school 9th edition, if you're playing Morty. Like, he can't be just sat at the back. Like, kind of, he needs to be in there. So and then it is a case of going, one of 2 things happens. You throw everything into your opponent, you decimate it, and then they're fighting with the scraps of their army into all these Terminators that are in their face, and with Morty about to barrel down into them. Or they survive it, and you don't decimate them, but they've still got to turn their army around and head back into their deployment zone to fight it. Yeah. And while that's happening, you're scoring secondaries, and you're then making your other units safe, so they're back into cover, they're off the wall. You're ready to score things like sabotage, or engage on all fronts, or area denial, or establish locus, or all the other things that you can do. And this is kind of what happened in my Knights game. By throwing them in there, I was kind of like, either they're going to do tons of damage and then tank stuff, or you're going to kill them. But Jim ended up turning around his entire army, and I could tell you that most of his Knights army was in a 12-inch square box in his deployment zone in the bottom corner. And I was like, even if you now kill all of that, which you're probably going to, you're now too far away from the rest of the game to catch me on primary and secondary scoring.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things I found out as well is, one thing I've stopped doing, and because it's kind of to do with UKC terrain as well, because a lot of the objectives are more open now, to stand in objectives means you're going to get shot. So actually what I've been doing is, on that big turn where I expose everything, you can put like empty rounds on objectives. You don't have to worry about hiding them, because what you can say to your opponent is, look, here is like 6 Death Shroud, the 10 Plague Marine Brick, and some halls in your face. They've just done a bunch of damage to you. Now, here is your choice. Deal with a threat that's right in front of you that's push into your lines, or you can ignore them and try and shoot the empty rhino so I don't score primary. And most people, and rightfully so, will shoot the threat right in front of them, because if you don't, I'm going to table you. And because we're playing these maps where these, like, if you actually pull the map pack, like, again, there's like tiny slivers of objectives like behind walls, but the majority of it, to get access to easily, is in the open. So now, you can, I had the most value I got on my 10-man Plague Marines is the turn I exposed them with the Death Shroud, and the Death Shroud got deeper into my opponent's lines than the Plague Marines, because then my opponent put all the effort into killing the Death Shroud, which means the Plague Marines then got to do another activation, stay alive. And the funny thing is, again, with Death Shroud, as you imagine, like, even when you kill them, because the guy stands back up, he's almost like the second wave of pressure on his own, even if his squad dies. So you have to make sure they got a follow-up. So I think right now, when I go back to the drawing board for my next event, which is in like 2 weeks, I think, I'm going to cut out all the cute shit. No more Mr. Nice Guy. No more cute Lord of Poxies. I'm sorry, you're an awesome model. Had fun playing you, but you're not good. Like at the moment for the game, you're not in the right place. You're out. Five mans are out. Second Rhino's out. Even all the play rings might be out, and it's just gonna be like, here's 3 squads of Death Shroud. I might even take DLC. I might take your list, Dave, and just give it a whirl. I'm also considering taking I'm considering taking my Night Despoil that Sam Boardman gave to me as a gift with the dual battle cannons, and just play like a Morty's Hammer of just like absolutely brutal. Here's 3 squads of Death Shroud, Despoiler, 2 PBCs, Demon Engines, the one that I'm so bad with names. I think it's Chris, isn't it? Bloody
Chris,
names.
yeah.
Chris, the one. Chris Taylor, that's the one. Couldn't remember the second name. I knew it was Chris, but I couldn't remember the second name. Chris Taylor took and did well. That looks a really good list, a really strong list. So, like again, and you look at all the lists that did well. All the cute stuff's just not in there. All the cute stuff is gone. Like it's like the VV list that did well. Like again, he's got the 10 plague ring brick. It's not cute. The unit is a deadly unit, but all around it, it's like the whole
with it.
The Death Shroud. There's no 5-man plague marine squads here. There's just powerful, strong units. Like we don't need to play a trading game anymore. We need to smash our opponents in the face and then worry about the primary whilst they're trying to dig themselves out of a hole. That's why.
I'm not saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying this is right, but my first stab at building my Taliban list went Demon Prince, Beckoning Blight, Great Unclean One, Lord of Contagion, Rotigus, 2 units of Plague Bearers, 2 Chaos Spawn, a 5-man brick of Death Shard Terminators, of course, 3 Mephitic Blight Haulers, 2 units of 6 Nurglings, and 10 Poxwalkers. Like even that is get in their face, drop tons of like kill power on them, and then go and deal with that.
Yeah. Whilst
that's even with a completely different attachment.
Because before I did my first, I had to make changes. They let me make the amendments. Like I literally turned up with 3 lists, put all 5 maps out on the table, element games.
Yeah.
And I literally just tried pushing things through gaps and trying to deploy stuff because that was kind of like where I was. I didn't have any practice, didn't have time for practice games. And on those maps, I did find that the Great Unclean ones might be a bit of a liability. There isn't. You can move them out to one channel, but you might need so often to use the move through walls or to have them standing on the base of the little L, so they're shootable. And I did play. I haven't played with them, but I was really worried about the movement with them on those boards. Now everything's pushed out, the channels are quite shrunk. That's not to say they're not usable. I'd love them to be, but if you've had some games, Dave or anyone else, it'd be great to sort of to discover that, because I am also quite curious about that. I just wasn't sure if the movement worked or not. But yeah,
I've done some setups with it, and also the other thing is that even if you're not use the flip side with that is, and the Great Unclean Ones, the Rotigus, is you can use them to just deep strike onto like in the way some of these maps are set up, particularly the ones where you've got like the little L and then the medium L right next to it, and the objective in the middle that's floating between. Like you could just drop a Great Unclean One onto that.
But if they're standing on the objective, you won't be able to, is what I mean.
No, only if they are. Sure, but that's why you do something.
I'm particularly thinking Mission 2, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at the packs, and I'm going to give this list some runouts and check it out. But I think it can actually do some. I think it can work quite well on it. And also, you've got things like 2 units of 6 Nurglings to infiltrate, to just whack in front of the entire army. And just box it in straight away. And also with the Demon Prince, remember, with Beckoning Blight, as long as you drop them within 12 of him, they can be wholly within 6 of your opponent. And as soon as you put them down and they're within 7 of the Demon Prince, then they're giving off Nurgle's Gift, which suddenly means you can drop Death Shroud within 6. It's like there's a nasty sequence of events you can do with it. I'm not saying it's like I literally wrote it the other day, so like I have given it a couple of test outs, but I think it needs it needs checking.
No, it's interesting. Like I said, I'm not saying it wouldn't work. I'm just there with the concerns. Like I said, I wrote a few times the app and always got to somewhere where it looked good on paper, but then I really worried about how it would actually play. But like I say, my results at the weekend, I've got a lot of things to do. Although I think the 10 played me for me, but I think my list there was flaws in the wrong detachment. The lots of little chaff just wasn't right. To back up your point, just lots of spawn and lots of even individual blight haulers. There was times when they connect, they're really good, but sometimes the short range was kind of frustrating. There was times in the third one just couldn't really get where he wanted, but he was also good just to sort of go and hold my expansion objective as well because of his sort of like low profile. So I think he was still good. But anyway, so I think we've probably covered quite a lot there, though, haven't we? I mean, I don't think anyone else to add or any sort of super chats to. Oh yeah, God. Any super chats before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's about it.
No, but what
Crystal's last
but
one.
there's one super important thing we've all forgotten to say. It's like, comment, subscribe.
Oh, yeah, that's a very important thing to say. It's a very, very important thing to say there. But I mean, yeah. So I think we've got we've got some food for thought. We've grabbed our thoughts a bit from Leeds. Learned a lot. First event using the new terrain. And I'm sort of looking forward to the next one. Like, what are you running at Stonehammer, Will? Is it Glasshammer?
Yeah, it's still Glasshammer. We are going to start making our own maps for them and remove some of the bases from that. Don't know if we'll have time to do it for this one. Okay. We're getting a Stonehammer website made. We're going to host the maps as well. There's a lot of plans afoot, but it's stuff that's taking longer to roll out than we thought. So this one might be the pack from last time. But it's it's something different, I guess. Yeah, but
I'll have to let the channel decide whether because I mean the 4-1 challenge, obviously the detachment challenge. So detachment challenge that we're currently doing, I'm trying to take every detachment to either win an RTT or get 4-1 at a larger event. So now we can tick off Champions of Contagion. So that is Champions of Contagion done, Virulent Vectorum is done, and Flyblown Host is done. So we have up left still to go Hammer, Taliban, Chosen, DLC. And Shamble Rot. So if you guys want to have say on what I actually take this Stonehammer event, it's going to be between Hammer or Chosen, I think. Hammer is going to be stronger. I'll say that probably, like in terms of like genericness, and it'll take the despoiler more than likely. But if you guys really want to see me take Deathlord's Chosen, I'm also up for that, right? Because again, not really came out World Rank 1 this season. I'm just going to try and keep doing my challenge because people seem to enjoy it. And 3 ticked off, 4 left to go. Pretty so good. Let's let people know. I can't do Taliban yet. I've still got some painting to do. I've got one Great and Clean one almost done, then I've got to buy my Rotagus and get him almost done.
I can lend you the demon side.
I'm going to wait for Taliban. So... Here's my idea, Will, for it. I think when the nerfs come in, Death Shroud's going to hit quite hard, and that's going to be a good point to pivot to Taliban because I don't think the demons are going to get touched much. So I'm going to save that for after the initial nerf and then finish up with them and Shamble Rock because I don't think they're going to get hit too bad as opposed to like Deathlord's Chosen. So. If Death Shroud get hit, Dave's list goes to hell. So
yeah, I mean the demons are a funny one because demons also exist as their own book. Some of the I think great like Rotagus is undercosted. And Beasts of Nurgle are undercosted. Beasts of Nurgle are very undercosted.
Dana Johnson just donated $10 for the same bribe for Deathlord's Chosen. I do like bribes. If only there was another bribe on top of that.
Do Chosen. I think Chosen would be cool. You can put Morty on the table, can't you?
You did multiply say that you liked my list. It scored well.
I did.
Do it before the Death Guard. Do it before the Death Shroud get nerfed. It'll be much harder after then, I think.
That bribe is incredibly helpful. I'm not gonna lie. That bribe is incredibly helpful. If only there was a few more bribes.
Yeah,
just one day's list, can't you? Do day's list. Maybe with a.
It's already tried and tested.
It seems very efficient. You've got a whole game plan there.
Death Shroud, but that's like doable. They're already base coded. I've just got like layer them up and stuff. So that's doable.
I can lend you 3 Death Shroud, mate. You need it. Yeah, I can lend you 3, man. I'm not playing. Don't forget. Like I don't even. I'm not even going to be spare, man.
If I face Morty in Glory again, and I show it with 15 Death Shroud again, he's going to be so pissed off at me. He's going to be like, you again, you fucking Death Shroud.
It's only 12.
It's only 12, it's only 12. I will do Shamble Rot again. I'm going to leave that for a bit because Shamble Rot also. Flyblown Host moving 60 Poxwalkers a game gave me depression. Shamble Rot is going to truly send me over the edge. Yes. So yeah, well, I might put up a vote then on the Discord, but Dana Johnson definitely coming in with that $10 super chat is definitely earned you a few extra votes, and maybe we get like a 10 vote advantage or something like that. We'll see. I know everyone's sick of more time. My only worry is if I don't play Mortarian's Hammer in time, it's going to get nerfed to the absolute ground and might be unplayable.
Mortarian's Hammer's, I think, actually one of the safer ones because if you think about what the nerfs are going to do, so look at the So let's look at Nathan's list for the winning list from Glasshammer GT. If it loses a Blight Hauler and if it loses the Hellbrute, does the list still function? I'd say yes. And that's like that's 200 points, so it's unlikely to even lose that much, if you see where I'm coming. Like, you can lose a Blight Hauler, which is 90 points, and the list is fine, and then there's still lots of wiggle room within that list. So I actually think Mortarian's Hammer is going to be fine. I think it'll get lower down a little bit, but I think it's got so much wiggle room. Like, the Demon Engines, they're all going to go up, but like Plague Burst Callers are going to stay fixed. And I don't know. Like, I think those lists are probably actually. I think there'll still be a functioning list in there. Is my thinking with Hammer, because I think you're going to lose 2 units in a list that, that can afford to lose 2 units. I think, there's going to be nerfs coming, but I think some of the attachments will be hurt more than others. I think Virulent Vectorum's probably the one that's going to get hit the hardest. I think Virulent Vectorum's, if it loses a unit of something because it's quite bricky units, I think it'll just sort of like collapse or become a build like the one I tried at the weekend in the right detachment, and it's the wrong meta for it. So that's a quick hot take to finish. I think could of course be completely wrong. My opinion doesn't count for too much at the moment.
Final bit thing I've got. So I might be joining Jordan from Vanguard Tactics, who finished 17th with his Blood Angels at Leeds on their members lounge on Friday for a chat. That'll be 4 o'clock UK time. And I think events the rest of the year for me, I am playing LGT doubles and main, Coventry 3-day, and Leicester in December. I think are my remaining events for the year. So
when is that?
I can't remember off the top of my head. Last time I said
I've been on a 3-day
what time
before.
Leeds was. I think I said it was in June, and it was actually in July. So
it's all right, I've done it before.
Yeah, so looking at doing that, got those ones on, and I just had a message from Tycho as well to say that I should look at we should look at the stream that they've just done, or the game they've just done.
Oh, okay. Is there a Death Guard Dave?
Apparently, there's a Lord of Contagion with Death Guard Dave written on it in there.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So I'll have a look at it later. But that's everything from me for now.
So come on then, I've got to lead this. So obviously, with this weekend's result in play, coaching's probably something more than ever I should be possibly considering. Although I am giving it out. If anyone really wants to get as good as me, I can tell you how to lose hard. But yeah, if I want to get some real coaching though, where might I get some coaching?
Well, Will, if you look in the box above you, over to that side, you can see that there's a person called Aiden is the Vanguard Tactics Death Guard coach, as he and I both play for the team. You can head on over to those guys. They have everything from masterclasses on individual factions to a full academy, which will be opening up again soon. So if you're new to the to the world of 40k and are considering like how do I just scale up quicker, there is a academy open which has, I think it's an 18-week program that has an app with full classes. You get access to that for the lifetime of your membership with it. You get into the Discord, and even if you don't want any of that stuff, head on over to Vanguard Tactics channel on YouTube, where there's about 3 battle reports a week. Really good bunch, all about sportsmanship, and that's why Aidan and I play for them. But I think we always talk about this, but I need models, Will. Where do I get models? I mean, like, imagine I didn't have full of Death Guard. Where can I get more? Where do I get a despoiler?
There you go. Well, Element Games is your one-stop shop for Element Games. You live in the UK.
Come on down to Crazy Will's Discount Warehouse.
Yeah, Element Games is in the UK. We're affiliate with them, and it doesn't cost any more. Just use the affiliate link. We get a nice little, we get a little bit for the channel. Helps us keep doing what we're doing. Also, God, I'm going to launch it to Aiden's bit now. Saltire Games in the UK. They have. Gaming aids. What kind of gaming aids do they have in? Come on, you're the one who knows what gaming aids.
Objective markers, all little things like that for tracking your stuff. I need to actually chase up with them. I think I've actually got a second set for the new codex actually. So let me chase that one up as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that's everything.
Two final things.
Two more things.
Two more things is Baron of Dice. Go to the link in the description if you want to get hold of our actual Disgusting Resilient dice. Anybody who was at the tables around us will see how great they are and roll. I actually had a few people ask where they can buy sets who weren't even Death Guard players. Which was good because they liked them.
Zito had the yellow ones, the first of a set.
What?
And I was like, I've never seen them in real life, and I was like, oh, it was so cool.
Yeah, they're super. They're mega rare. He's got some of the OG ones.
The first.
I think I've only got one of those. I think. And the And the other place to go is please go to and check out drpstore.com, all one word. There you can find merchandise, hoodies, t-shirts with the channel logo on it, caps, iPhone cases, anything. There's loads of stuff on there. Just a way for you guys to kind of rep the channel while you're out and about in the game. And just, you know, show a bit of love for us. And we appreciate seeing anything with you guys wearing that stuff out there.
So I've got one more sort of selfish plug. Obviously, Aidan alluded to the event that he's going to before. There is a Storm event run at Element Games in Stockport. There is still tickets available. It's running on the 19th and 20th. So anyone is in the UK, there is accommodation. I think it's Premier Inn or Travel Lodge, literally across the road from it. It's really easy to stay. So if you want to come down, see Aidan's, see what Aidan takes, support Aidan, and you know, come and get some games of 40k in a nice competitive and also see Element Games as well. As I say, just go to the Element Games website and they're available in the event section there. It's called Protect Your Neck. So yeah, wanted to just shout that out as well because we are in the final run for the last few tickets. But yeah, I think that's everything, guys. Unless there's anything that I've missed, apart from like and subscribe, of course.
Like and subscribe. Thank you very much. And again, if you fancy becoming a member, check it out.
Everybody who tuned in tonight.
Yeah, and again, memberships, check them out. $2.99 a month, get access to Discord, giveaways, all that good stuff. We just finished my painting competition. Congrats to Cranky Crow and Cobble LMAO, who's in the chat, for winning the painting competition with his amazing Great Unclean one. And everyone that won that, make sure you contact me and get your details so I can send you your prizes. We're also sending some of the winners, if they're abroad. We're sending them some extra UK sweets and stuff like that as well for a bit of fun. We're going to send them some Jaffa cakes. Sadly, they won't let me sell them a sausage roll from Greg's. Apparently, something about going mouldy in the flight, which I think is a load of nonsense. There's enough preservatives in it anyway.
It wouldn't rot.
It definitely would not, unlike us. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in for tonight. It's a bit longer than usual because obviously speaking of event, and we will see you all on the next episode. For now, everyone, take care, stay rotten, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye for now, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye-bye.
From the depths of rot and decay they rise. The death god marches under sickened skies. With boils and blight they spread the pain. In Nurgle's name disease will reign. Rot and ruin, pestilence flows. With every breath the plague wind blows. Embrace the rot, let flesh decay. The death god comes, none can stay. From the depths of rot and decay they rise. The death god marches under sickened skies. With boils and blight they spread the pain. In Nurgle's name disease will reign. Rot and ruin, pestilence flows. With every breath the plague wind blows. Embrace the rot, let flesh decay. The death god comes, none can stay. Armored and filled with rusted blades, they laugh at cities wilt and fade. Where they tread, no life remains, just hollow corpses, plague remains. Beneath the helm, cursed grin, for in death they shall begin. Rot and